Shut up and sit down.
What's the story, Internet? I hope everyone is continuing to have a wonderful week. Hope you all enjoyed this week's football. Unfortunately, nothing exciting happened this week, so it's going to be a very, very short video with not a lot to talk about. Who am I kidding? All sorts of things have happened this week. So let's start with the Coppa Italia. So in one semi-final we had Atalanta versus Napoli, and that finished 0-0. So nothing overly exciting happening there, but it does set up next week's second leg quite nicely. In the other one, however, Inter Milan took quite an early lead, but then a Cristiano Ronaldo inspired comeback along with a howler from the goalkeeper allowed Juventus to come back and win 2-1. So that sets up another very interesting tie for next week. So the second leg for Juventus and Inter is on Tuesday, and the second leg for Atalanta and Napoli is on Wednesday. So we'll find out who will be in the final. But more importantly, let's talk about the Premier League. So first up, we had a battle of the relegation zone, Sheffield United versus West Bromwich Albion, and Sheffield United have officially got their third win of the season. A wonderful performance and a 2-1 win from Sheffield United. They came back from being 1-0 down thanks to a Matt Phillips goal, and they put in a very good performance. They had the possession, they had the shots on target. Just a great performance from the Blades, and this puts them up to 11 points now. They're only 1 point behind West Brom, 3 points behind Fulham, although Fulham does have a game in hand. Now, they are still 11 whole points behind Burnley and Newcastle, and 13 points behind Brighton, but it gives them that bit of hope that if they can keep performing like this, maybe they can get out of the hole that they find themselves in. A little bit like West Brom when Roy Hodgson came in and they were bottom of the table and he rescued them. So good for Sheffield United, and it also means that they won't end up like Derby with 9 points on the season. At least they've got 11 now, and they won't go down as one of the worst performing teams in Premier League history. So the next one we have to talk about is Wolves versus Arsenal. So Arsenal just had a woeful day at the office because of the red cards. David Luiz getting sent off in the 50th, technically the 48th minute, but it was the 45 plus 3 is in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. And Ruben Neves converting that penalty, and then João Moutinho scoring. And Bernd Leno also getting sent off in the 72nd minute, so they were down to 9 men. That just meant that they couldn't really come back from that. So, great performance from Wolves. Not an all-round great performance from the officials. David Luiz's red card was still a little bit contentious. Not as contentious as another decision that we're going to discuss, however. But it gave Wolves a bit of a rare victory because they have been so spotty this year. So fair play to Wolves. So the next match that I want to talk about, and not that I've been excited about discussing this one, but Manchester United 9, Southampton 0, and equaling the record scoreline for a Premier League match with Leicester 9, Southampton 0, and Manchester United also had the original 9-0 scoreline. So great performance all round. It was kick-started, not to say that we weren't going to win, but I don't think it would have been this drastic if it wasn't for Alex Jankovic getting sent off in the 2nd minute. It was actually around a minute and a half. I think that it was around 79 seconds was the official time he was sent off. So I do feel sorry for the lad though, because He only made one prior appearance, and he was on as a substitute for a minute. And he'd obviously impressed because he was brought into the starting lineup. So he's only had 2 minutes and 19 seconds in the Premier League. And then he gets sent off. And then Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Marcus Rashford, Edison Cavani, Anthony Martial, Scott McTominay, Bruno Fernandes, Dan James, and an own goal from Jan Bednarek, and another red card for Jan Bednarek, and an offside for Southampton's goal, and a penalty, and everything was just against Southampton. And like I said, even though I wanted Manchester United to win, even I can admit when things are going in favour of my team. The offside, very close. Should a hand count as offside? In my opinion, no. So very, very close. But I'm just ecstatic for the scoreline, for what it means for the table, and just everything around it. It was an all-round fantastic performance. And it's very easy when a team has more players to take their foot off the pedal. It usually doesn't happen when it's that early on, but still, the fact that Manchester United just kept going and going and going and going and going and putting the pressure on and putting the pressure on and putting the pressure on was fantastic. So I was absolutely buzzing on Tuesday. Next match was Crystal Palace 2, Newcastle 1. I had a feeling this was going to happen because Newcastle have been so spotty at the moment. But then again, they did beat Leicester last time out. So a bit of a mixed bag at the moment for Newcastle. But fair play to Crystal Palace. They came back from 1-0 down thanks to a John Joe Shelby goal. And Riedewald and Cahill, of all people, getting the goals. So Newcastle had the possession, they had the shots, but out of 21 shots they had 5 on target. So just not a good look for Newcastle. But that was good news for Burnley, because, and I'll get to their result later, but with Burnley's game in hand, it means that if they win, then they can overtake Newcastle because they're level on points with them at the moment. So this was a good result for Burnley and for Brighton and for Wolves, but not a good result for Newcastle, unfortunately. They are still 11 points clear of Sheffield United, 10 points clear of West Brom, and 8 points clear of Fulham. So they're not too in danger of going into the drop zone, but still, it doesn't help them, that's for sure. So next match, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about Burnley. They lost 2-0 to Manchester City. So that means that Manchester City stay atop of the table, staying 3 points ahead of Manchester United and with a game in hand. Burnley, 2 shots, 0 on target. Manchester City had the possession, they had the shots on target. It was City's day. Even though they only scored 2, they were just very clinical, just got the job done. A lot of people were a bit annoyed at Raheem Sterling because he scored a tap-in instead of sending it over the bar, and it brought back memories to when Harry Kane should have squared it to Raheem Sterling, and England should have been 2-0 ahead against Croatia, but not that people are still remembering that or anything. Next one is Leicester 2, Fulham 0. Probably the expected result, given the two teams' recent fortunes and also the table placement. Fulham did have the possession, 58-42. They had 8 shots with only 1 on target, and Leicester had 9 shots with 5. And so that keeps Leicester in third, keeps them above Liverpool by 2 points, 2 points behind Manchester United, and 5 points behind Manchester City, who have a game in hand. So fair play to Leicester. I think what they're doing this season should be commended, and it brings back memories of their title-winning season when it was nice to see that other team just perform. I don't quite think they'll be able to push on for a title, but you never know. This season has been all over the place. So, and the positions are changing all the time, so who knows. Next match was Leeds 1, Everton 2. Everton were 2-0 up thanks to Gylfi Sigurdsson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's been relatively quiet recently, given his form at the beginning of the season. And then Rafinha got one back for Leeds. Leeds had the possession, they had the shots on target, but as I always say, possession does not win you the matches, and it's who's more clinical and who finishes their dinner. So this keeps Everton level on points with Chelsea, 2 points behind West Ham and 4 points behind bitter rivals Liverpool. In fact, Everton still have 2 games in hand, so if they win both of those, they could go level with Leicester. They do have the lesser goal difference, so they wouldn't overtake Leicester, but they would overtake Liverpool, and that would push Liverpool into 5th. So we'll just have to see how those games in hand go. But a good performance from Everton. It's a shame for Leeds because, like I said, they had the possession and the shots, they just couldn't convert. So a good performance from both teams. Next match, West Ham 3, Aston Villa 1. Fantastic performance from Jesse Lingard, not saying that biasly or anything, but what a way to make a debut. 2 goals and a third goal added by Thomas Soucek, who is just absolutely in inspired form at the moment. I see people comparing him to when David Moyes had the use of Fellaini at Everton, and to a lesser extent at Manchester United. And I can see the comparisons because he's a defensive midfielder by technicality, but he's just scoring an immense amount of goals. And then Ollie Watkins got an Aston Villa consolation goal in the 81st minute. Aston Villa had the possession, 57% to 43. However, West Ham had 20 shots to 9 and had 10 on target compared to 2. So West Ham thoroughly deserved that. It keeps them in 5th in the Europa League spot. They are 2 points ahead of Chelsea, 2 points behind Liverpool. So yeah, a fantastic performance from David Moyes' West Ham. Next match, and this made my week even better after the 9-0 battering of Southampton by Manchester United, or should I say of Liverpool B, because of the amount of times that Liverpool have gone to Southampton and signed their players. Liverpool A lost to Brighton at Anfield. The first time they've lost 2 home matches in a very, very long time. And yeah, what a performance from Brighton. I mean, Liverpool had possession. They had 11 shots, but only 1 on target. Brighton had 13 shots and had 4 on target. So it was thoroughly deserved. So great performance from the Seagulls. Really helps them out at the bottom of the table. And it really does not help Liverpool out because if they had won, they would only have been 1 point behind Manchester United, would have overtaken Leicester, whereas now they find themselves in 4th and under threat because of Everton's 2 games in hand. So not a position that Jurgen Klopp wanted to find himself in. And then speaking of a manager who was in a position that he doesn't want to find himself in, although compared to his competitor, who's in a much better place, Spurs 0, Chelsea 1. So not the most entertaining of matches. I mean, Spurs had 7 shots with 2 on target. Chelsea had 18 shots with 2 on target, and it was a Jorginho penalty that decided things. But Thomas Tuchel continues his undefeated record, a draw and 2 wins. Tottenham lost 2 home games on the trot for a very, very long time. That doesn't happen very regularly. So Tottenham still have a game in hand over some of the teams around them. Everton and Aston Villa have a game in hand on them and have 2. But they are 3 points behind Chelsea with that game in hand. Keeps them in 8th. They're only just above Arsenal by 2 points. That was because of their loss. So there was a lot of movement this week and a lot of solidifying, a lot of great performances, a couple of upsets. It was another thoroughly entertaining couple of days of football. Not what you usually expect from midweek fixtures. This is what you usually expect from like end of the season weekend fixtures where everyone's fighting for a spot. But this was a fantastic couple of days of football. So I'm obviously ecstatic because the boys did it for me. And as I mentioned, Liverpool losing to Brighton just was the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake. So, but yeah, I hope you all enjoyed your week's football. I hope you're excited for a weekend full of jam-packed football. I will be back tomorrow with a preview of said weekend's football, and I will be back on Sunday for a review of the weekend's football. So until then, I hope you're all staying safe, keeping out of trouble. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And until next time, ta-ra for now.